What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Modern Warfare 2. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving on to the next assault rifle. This is the Kastov 762, also known as the AK-103. And diving right into our damage profile, an interesting thing with this gun is we have a guaranteed 3-shot kill anywhere in the body, whether that's the foot or the upper torso. It's going to be a 3-shot kill within our maximum damage range, which is great. And we still have a 3-shot kill potential in our medium damage range. However, you do have to hit at least 2 of those shots to the upper torso. The other one can hit anywhere else in the body. And then finally, at long ranges, it is going to be a 4-shot to kill unless we're hitting some headshots. You can see here we also deal a lot of damage to the head. We actually have a 2-shot headshot potential within our maximum as well as our mid damage range. So damage-wise, this gun is very impressive, especially with that extremely forgiving 3-shot kill. Now let's get into our rate of fire, which is 600 rounds per minute, and this means our time to kill potential with a 3-shot kill is just 200 milliseconds, which is very, very solid and competitive. And even when you drop off to a 4-shot kill at longer ranges, 300 milliseconds is a very competitive time to kill for longer ranges as well. So this gun definitely excels when it comes to raw killing potential. But then let's get into our bullet velocity, which is just standard for an assault rifle in this game at 590 meters per second. And then let's get into our range values, which, as we can see here, our guaranteed 3-shot kill anywhere in the body, that will extend out to 29 meters, which is really nice. However, we still have a 3-shot kill potential that extends out to about 45.5 meters. But this is where you do have to hit those upper torso shots in order to maintain that 3-shot kill. Beyond that 45.5 meters though, this is where it's guaranteed to be a 4-shot kill to the body. As for hardcore, or tier 1 modes, which are coming with season 1, I do believe the Kastov 762 is going to be one of the best, if not the best gun in the entire mode, because this is a guaranteed 1-shot kill anywhere in the body at any range. After that though, let's have a look at our hipfire, which is just normal for assault rifles. It's kind of right in the middle. And then let's get into our idle sway, which as we can see here, just like with a lot of the guns in this game, there's quite a bit of sway while aiming down sight by default, so you may want to factor that in with your attachment choices. As for the recoil with this gun, it is quite interesting. It's pretty linear. It just kicks upward and to the right in a straight line. However, especially with those initial shots fired, there's a little bit of jumping around. It will bounce side to side a bit. There is some randomness there, and those are very important shots within your recoil pattern. So at longer ranges especially, if you aren't putting things on your class setup to improve your recoil, you may end up struggling a bit with those initial shots fired. Beyond those initial shots though, it is pretty easy to control this gun. And now that we have that out of the way, let's get into our handling stats, and our aim down sight time isn't great on this gun. It's 270 milliseconds, which is below average for the assault rifle category. However, our sprint out time is standard for an assault rifle at 210 milliseconds. Then when it comes to our reload add time, this is actually quite fast for an assault rifle at 1.32 seconds. And finally, for base stats, let's have a look at our mobility, and our base movement speed is a bit below average for the assault rifles at 4.62 meters per second. It's a similar story with our sprint speed, a little bit below average for assault rifles. And then finally, our aim walking movement speed, again, it is below average here, so this is not an area where this gun excels. So there we go, that wraps it up for the base stats of this gun. However, I do want to dive deep into the barrel attachments, and let's start it off with our barrel ranges. When it comes to the first barrel attachment, this is the only one that improves our range, and this one actually gives us a nice boost at 25%. Whereas for the 3 barrels that reduce our ranges, they only reduce it by 5 to 10% depending on the barrel, which is kind of nice to see. There's not much of a downside when it comes to range reduction, but there is a really nice upside for our range increase with the first barrel. Next, let's have a look at how these barrels impact our recoil on the gun. And honestly, none of these seem to have a really significant impact on this. Although with some of them you can see a bit less side-to-side bounce, and the magnitude of the recoil may vary slightly here. But overall, these barrels don't really have a massive impact when it comes to recoil. And finally, so far I've had quite a few requests for me to include aim down sight speed adjustments with these barrels. So I decided I'm going to start adding that section, but as of right now, I can only hand test these values. And as a result, there's definitely a bit of rounding present here. These aren't necessarily going to be perfectly accurate, but they're at least accurate enough to give you a bit of an indication of what these barrels will do to your aim down sight speed. And you can see here, the first barrel barely harms our aim down sight speed. It's honestly not even noticeable. The second barrel does start to noticeably impact our aim down sight speed. And then the third barrel, this one actually harms our ADS speed by quite a noticeable amount. Whereas the last two, these ones slightly help our aim down sight speed. But to be honest, you're probably never going to notice that difference, in isolation at least. If you stack this with other attachments to help aim down sight speed, then you'll probably start to see a much more noticeable impact. And with that, we can finally move into some excellent attachment combinations that I threw together for you guys. And the first one I want to share is my accuracy build. This one's not designed for run and gun, more so for hanging back, picking people off at range, or at the very least being pre-aimed and ready for your target. Now the first thing I want to address really quickly here is I have the Slimline Pro optic on here. I also put this on my M4 gun guide, and you may notice in the game's current state, you can't unlock this optic. You can only access it in private matches. And I believe the reason for this is I think this is meant to be tied to the Chimera or Honey Badger, which is an assault rifle that's rumored to be coming with Season 1. However, I do want to at least somewhat future-proof these episodes, and this is by far my favorite red dot sight, so I'm still putting it on this class, but for now, you'll have to substitute it with something else. As for the rest of this, we have the Corio LEZ44 V3 laser. This is the one that helps with aim down sight speed and aiming stability, but the enemy can see your laser when you're aiming down sights. We've got the first barrel attachment, which is the one that increases our range by 25%. That's a very noticeable boost, so I definitely want that for this sort of a build. We've also got the Tempest GH50 muzzle. This one helps with vertical recoil control, and the way I've got this build, this is the one that worked the best combined with the other attachments for me. And then finally, we've got the Sharkfin 90 underbarrel, which is the one that just helps with idle sway with no penalties attached to it whatsoever. And as we can see here with this setup, it is quite accurate, easy to control. The total magnitude of recoil is significantly lower than the base recoil. Those first few shots fired as well, there's not nearly as much jumping or bouncing around, so this is very good for those longer range engagements. And with the fast and consistent close range time to kill with this gun, you can still hold your own up close. However, you do have to be aware of that aim down sight speed. It's quite slow at 370 milliseconds. As for the next build that I've got for you guys, this one's designed to be more of an all-arounder, at least for the 6v6 maps in this game. It's not designed to be picking people off across the map or anything, but in the majority of gunfights, if you're navigating around the map, you will be well within this gun's effective range. And with this, the way I've got everything balanced, my aim down sight speed ended up just canceling out, so we have the default aim down sight speed at around 270 milliseconds, which is good enough for moving around the map. It's worth noting our aim walking movement speed is improved by 11% with that stock that I put on there, and that can be a nice benefit in the game. And you may also notice the total magnitude of recoil is better than the base recoil, but it's also nowhere near as good as the previous build that I showed for you guys. So like I said, this is not designed for picking people off across the map. It's more so designed for your average gunfight out there. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the Kastov 762. As for my thoughts on this gun, I really like it. I think it's actually one of the best assault rifles in the game right now. It's just so consistent with that 3-shot kill out to 29 meters that within the 6v6 maps at least, you can really find yourself dominating with this gun. Now, of course, you do have to keep in mind that aim down sight speed's a little on the slower side for an assault rifle, and also those initial shots can hold you back at really long ranges, but at like close to medium range, those are no problem whatsoever, and you should be able to find quite a bit of success using this gun. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts on this gun so far. I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What are you thinking about this gun so far? And also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, I've covered a couple of assault rifles already. I will leave a link to the playlist in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.